Here's Jordan Joe Hollabaugh.
3.1. She's in the money.
She was about as fast as she could have been on that
one. 2.9 seconds. And now she is number one.
You are officially in the loop.
Day number 15. We have finally made it on 15 Days of Breakaway to number one, the one and only Taylor Munsell. Anytime you come in with the number one back number, that has got to be just a phenomenal feat for any professional breakaway roper. And I know that it is such a cherished one for Taylor Munsell. She takes us through her season this year, from her Houston win to several others, how she's evolved. And one of the things that she constantly talks about is how she's learned, and she continues to learn. And she is a student of the game. Taylor Munsell truly loves breakaway roping in and out. She loves her horses. She has a great team of horses this year. She had a phenomenal year, and she made the national finals coming in number one with over 190,000. She is a contender for a gold buckle, one of three. And I tell you what, this is such a humble cowgirl, sincere, and an avid lover for the sport that we all love, breakaway roping. So, wrapping up 15 Days of Breakaway, thank you so much for joining us. This has been such an amazing journey for 5 consecutive years. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your support, especially from Wrangler, who brought you this whole series. Long live Cowgirls. And we can't wait to share with you the last and final day, number one, Miss Taylor Munsell.
Okay, welcome back. We are wrapping up the last and final day of 15 Days of Breakaway. This has been a huge lead up until this day, working our way from 15 to 1, and we are finally at number one with 5-time National Finals Breakaway Roping qualifier, the only Money Munsell, Taylor Munsell. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you've had 5 back numbers. And of all numbers, but this one has to be super special. Coming in at number one, $191,175, 70 rodeos. What does it feel like to know you're going to be wearing number one?
It's still it's so surreal. I mean, it's hard to put into words. It's been such a stellar year, and I've had so many things go good this year. I feel like the first 4 years are just kind of like learning curves nonstop. And this year, I kind of really felt like I knew what I was doing, knew where I was going, what rodeos I wanted to be at, and what horses I wanted to ride. And I also had like an incredibly great year this year for my horses staying sound. So I'm super thankful for that.
And it was, like you said, it was a stellar year, full of big wins, but consistency all year long. There wasn't like just any one place you won. You won all year long. And I always go back to this story. We've told it several times on In the Loop, but when you showed up in California and you didn't have any money in your pocket to even be at that rodeo, you didn't have a horse to ride. And it's just as your friend and a fellow breakaway roper to know, you have literally single-handedly built and worked your way to the top. It's so cool. But tell us a little bit about your year and start off from this fall till, well, last fall until Sioux Falls kind of rang the bell and ended up number one.
Yeah, it was a great year. I just started out, obviously last year I had a horrible end of the year. um, all the way through Kimes Ranch, or at the $1 Million Breakaway, and then also at the NFBR. I caught 2 out of 10 Kevs last year at the finals. So whenever I come into the new year, it was like I was very zoned in on just getting back to being consistent with my catch loop and stuff. Like I'd gotten too concerned with going fast and trying to be fast every single run. So I just took that part out of it, started trying to be way more accurate with my scoring and horse riding, and then letting the fast come. And I think that helped me a ton. I did a lot more horsemanship stuff outside of just running calves for myself. Colonel, he takes a lot of work because he's got a lot of energy, but he doesn't necessarily need to be running a lot of calves because he starts to think he figures it out, and then he figures it out a little too much. So I really broke it all down. I went back to doing a lot of pin roping and a lot of scoring drills and just kind of breaking myself back down as well. And I think that really helped. This year, I really focused hard on making the best run I could. I thought I've always been good at making good runs on bad calves, but I never thought I was great at, really taking advantage of good calves. So this year I tried to really make sure and take advantage of all the good calves I drew and then just get by the tough ones.
And I think too, just hearing, everybody the biggest mistakes that we make are most prevalent in our mind, right? Like, I think everybody had probably forgot about the 2024 NFBR, but that is what you used to propel you into 2025. And we never want to talk about those things where it's like, man, this year stunk and thank gosh, this is what came out of it. But, had you known that you would through such a tough finals would have been such a stellar year, maybe you should have encouraged some more tough finals. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
talk about the breaking it down, right? Like coming back, you're like, hey, I used this challenge and I worked and I came back and tried to make it work for my good. What, you talked a little bit about the drills, but what else did you have to break down in your rope? And I think it's easy to get concerned. And hey, if you're not, I'm going to say 2-1, 2-2 or faster in most all setups, you're not going to win money. So how do you not get concerned with being fast and get back to catching, but still being fast?
It's hard and it's a super hard mental battle. And I want to say mental toughness is the biggest part of breakaway because it is so fast and it's so hard to not try to go too fast. And it's so hard to also not go too slow, especially when a lot of the places we go and there's 200 girls that can go be too flat or faster like any day of the week on the right cap and the right setup. So it is super hard, but I'm thankful for my mindset on it. Like after that tough finals, I wasn't beat down at all, really. I was more so like motivated. So I was ready to get home. I was ready to go back to the basics and break it down. I knew exactly where I was going to start. And it is a learning curve still because I've made 5 NFRs, but I've only been rodeoing for 5 years. So I'm still learning how to handle being gone away from home and not getting to practice, to not getting to tune on horses and stuff between runs. But I think it's super important to be consistent with your riding and stuff because that also helps your horse stay consistent throughout the summer. And I've just learned that I win more when I stay consistent. I don't worry about going fast and I do the things. I see the start. I try to hit the barrier good. I will say I don't know that I necessarily caught more Kevs this year than I normally do, but I scored a lot better this year. I hit the barrier and gave myself chances to win a lot. So then when it worked, I mean, it worked a lot more often because I was giving myself a chance a lot more often.
And I think too, as you're talking about you, I keep hearing you say you learned, and I think that's such a cool thing to note that you, other than Shelby Medjid, you've got the second most back number qualifications coming into this year's NFR. So you are a veteran, and you're still talking about learning. You're still talking about evolving. Your horsepower is by far, you've got, I think, one of everything in your trailer. And they're all a little bit different. And they all, like you're saying, they all take a little bit different. And that comes back to your veteran mentality. Tell us who's in your trailer and what goes into keeping them sharp all year long.
Yeah, I rodeoed on all 5 years actually. I've rodeoed on the same 3 horses, and 2 of those horses have been my entire career that I've rodeoed on. So I know those 2 really well. I started them from scratch, and I started them before I was really breakaway roping. So I think I did a lot better job of taking time and spending time on them at the beginning and like a lot more time in the practice pen than like now we're so busy rodeoing that you get to rush in horses a little bit. And then I added Colonel later on. So the horse I've rode the longest is Monster, the little bay horse that everybody knows. He's 18, so he stays pretty close to home. The road isn't, haul-in wise, isn't super good to him. So I ride him around home when I can, and then he'll obviously be going out to the $1 Million Breakaway and the NFBR and all the ropings in Vegas with me. And he takes nothing. I mean, he is just like, that's why I like leaving him home because I know if I have to fly home or drive home, I can get on him and dead fresh. He's going to go let me have a chance to win. But he's just always been that way. I can go 2 flat 4 runs in a row, and the next run he won't even think about taking my throwaway. He's going to run all the way to the calf. So he helped me a lot in that aspect. So then I had to learn kind of from that. Ray was a lot more of a challenge to get going good, but now I'd say he's one of the most consistent winning horses that I'll probably ever ride. He does nothing super flashy or just where people are like, oh my gosh. But if you watch him enough, you're like, that horse does a good job of letting her win. And he makes really difficult calves a lot easier because he doesn't do too much and he's not trying too much. But he's, I think up until this year after Houston, obviously this year kind of changed it, but I think every year I'd won the most money on Ray, which is kind of disappointing because he never gets to show off with the NFR, but I don't think it hurts his feelings any to get him break. And then the last one is Colonel, which I added the first year I rodeoed. I bought him at Woodward's Pro Rodeo the first year and was like, I need this horse to like fill my trailer to make it work. and he has all the bells and whistles and everything you could ever want in one, but he does try so hard, and sometimes he does too much, and his feet go too many different directions and all that. So he's very important to not make at home. I try not to make realistic runs on him. It's more so like being very good with my scoring, with my riding him all the way to the calf, and a lot of the times roping him and not stopping him, or roping him and letting him stop on his own. I do a lot of not roping. We do a lot of pin roping. We just try to keep it changed up. He's a super strong horse that has a lot of power and a lot of energy. So he kind of takes a lot to be rode down, but I don't want to go run 20 kevs on him, making realistic runs on him either. So pin roping and that kind of stuff. And a lot of the time, if he needs a few runs, I'll do like walking starts and stuff. So I'm not just wearing and tearing him out to keep him tired, because
Yeah.
it takes a lot to keep you tired.
He takes a lot of riding, and I think that's what makes him, any horse and all horses. That's what we've heard consistently, and as we've rodeoed, we know it's the trailer that's the hardest on him. It's not so much the runs as the bouncing
Yeah.
up and down. And so for horses like Colonel, it's a great thing because the trailer makes
Yeah.
him tired, and you don't have to ride him as much.
Yeah, the more I haul him, the better he is, and that's what I give him when I'm rodeoing on him. If he gets like 3 days off, he is just a fire-breathing dragon by the 4th day. And I've never really had a horse like that, so it's been a learning curve with him, really figuring out how to keep him focused where I want him.
Another special little nugget that I saw this year that probably many people didn't. You also added a new member to your team. He's not been at too many high level rodeos yet, but he's coming up. And you won this really special little blue belt buckle that you wore a little bit this year.
Yeah.
And you won it on your young horse. He looks just like Monster, but he will be coming into the team 2025, 2026. So tell us a little bit about him too.
Yeah, his name's Goon. He's a little bay. He's Monster's prodigy. He looks a lot like him. Honestly, almost every jackpot I ride him at, they're like, "Oh, why are you riding Monster at the jackpot?" And it is not him, but he acts a lot like him. He's not just super gentle, and he doesn't like a lot of pets or people, but we're getting him there with the treats. But he's super cool. He reminds me so much of Monster. He's got my style of score and kind of float and throttle across the line and then just let you be super fast. But also, if you want to go catch one, he lets you do it. I rode him. I've rode him at a couple rodeos, but yeah, I'm super excited to bring him out, and I'm excited he'll take some of the grunt work off of Ray, because Ray's 17, fixing to be 18, so he's looking for a little partial retirement.
Talk about the age on these horses. That's something I think, a lot of the times, if you ask anybody an average age of a rodeo horse, you're looking at 16, 17, 18. And a lot of people in the market are wanting, 6, 7, 8-year-old horses. Does the age bother you in these horses? I know we've got to steward them the best we can with what they'll allow us as far as, if the road supports them or if it doesn't. But does that scare you riding a horse that's got some age on it?
No, not at all. I mean, the confidence I have still back into the box on Monster Ray being 17 and 18 over, and Colonel's not young, he's 13, but just over him, like those two have seen so much more than him that I know there's nothing, like they may spook and snort and like see something, but it'll affect nothing in the run on them. And I just know that even when they're a little sore, they're going to be the same. And when they see something they don't like, they're going to be the same. And when the ground's deep in mud, they're going to be the same. And I mean, you have to have a horse that's good in the box and across the line more so than anything. Because if you aren't getting a great start in the breakaway, you're not winning nothing. And it don't matter what they do outside of that. They can look pretty and flashy in the field as you want, but that doesn't matter if you don't hit the barrier. Um, so I don't think there's nothing wrong with riding an older horse as long as you do the part to take care of them. I mean, and that's something I think that a lot of us are learning, because none of us have ever rodeoed as hard as we are now, but we're learning the value of an older horse that's been there, done that, and then also taking care of them so they keep doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, I never understood that until I started rodeoing, and now I'm like, ooh, 12 or over. That's my limit right now, 12 or
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
But
I've owned Goon since he was young. I got him started, and he's 9, gonna be 10, and I'm still calling him, my young horse. Like, I wouldn't have dreamed of taking him think I rode him at 3 rodeos last year, 2 of them or 2 rodeos actually, 2 of them because they were both muddy. And I had him and Monster, and I was like, well, Goon, it's time for you to learn. But still, like, he does so much good stuff at jackpots and stuff, but the pressure you put on him at a rodeo is just different.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about stats. It's pretty cool as we're going through these 15 days of breakaway, especially you veterans who've been there several times, 5 times. I mean, you got lots of stats. We'll just go over for the last few years. But, this year we had a rodeo count. And I heard you say in the beginning, hey, I'm a 5-year veteran, but I feel like I'm still learning. I've kind of figured out where I want to go and what I want to do. This year you had 70 rodeos, 191,000. Last year you had 82 rodeos, 132,000. 2023, you had 91 rodeos, 108,000. In 2022, 84 rodeos, 67,000. So it's really neat to see that progression in the fine tuning of the rodeos and your run, but then also the money that is an opportunity for us now. What were some of the biggest takeaways from this season for you? Obviously, it was a huge season, great wins, but you've been to all these rodeos. So what were some of your big takeaways?
I think it was definitely a little bit of a learning curve. Obviously, them having 80 rodeos this year for us because we'd never seen anything like that. And also for us, we don't always know for sure what rodeos are going to happen or added or whatever. But um, winning Houston helped that for me a little bit. It was kind of easy, a little easier to set it up after Houston. I was like, I'm getting to my circuit rodeos, I'm getting my count for that. And then I'm obviously worried about getting into Puyallup and Sioux Falls. So that was kind of where my main focus was. Once we got a little more towards the end of the year, I was like, oh, I got some rodeos. So I started entering a few more rodeos. But something that affected the rodeo count a lot for me this year was so many of the rodeos that used to have us that had us as like, they were like 2 and a short for the guys. They'd have us as a 1 and a short or just a straight one header. Well, now they're adding us in where we are equal out of money and we're getting both runs in the short round or both runs, a progressive round and a short round. So I entered several rodeos that I actually got released out of because I made progressive rounds at other rodeos. And that kind of kept my rodeo count down this year. So it is even rodeos that have had us, the format's changing for us. So it's going to be, there's still a few more years, I think, to figure out the rodeo count situation.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, a lot of the rodeo, the head came into play. So whereas before we were running, you enter one rodeo and to me, tell me how you look at it, but I look at it as like, okay, if I get 2 head, I'm basically getting one rodeo for 2 chances, right? If I get 3 head, I'm getting one rodeo for 3 chances, 3 chances. And when I say chances, I mean chances at money. And so that was for me kind of a strategy on, where do you go? And then maybe you don't go here, you don't go there. But obviously, there's also rodeos that I absolutely love and I'm going to go to, whether they're 1 or 10 head.
Yeah.
So obviously, Houston, I mean, phenomenal. Everybody wants that bucket list win. But you had several bucket list wins this year. What were some other ones that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, that's something that's also you can if you look at like my really got into my statistics, you can look at I think the first year I rodeoed and made the finals, I only won 1 rodeo all year long. And like I've never been somebody that just really just won a lot of rodeos, but this year I kind of think I figured it out a little better. But I got the win at my hometown rodeo for the second time in Woodward, which was just super special.
And one of the hardest rodeos to win, might I add
It
you.
is. The Woodward's a tough rodeo as it is, and then to make it a hometown rodeo, those hometown rodeos make you very, very nervous. And I was in a perf, which I always enter for a perf there, so I can see everybody. But yeah, that one puts some nerves on me. And then obviously, Reno's been one of my favorite rodeos since the very beginning. I've made the short round every year I've went, and then I won it last year, and then this year going in, I was kind of middle of the pack going in, and I was just same thing. I was just like, just make the best run you can on what you got. I don't want to say I made the best run I could, but it all worked out, and I got to win that rodeo again, which was super, super. I can't even explain the feeling of that because that rodeo and that committee, they've been super good to me. The BFI in Reno was the first big rope and I ever entered and won and qualified for the American. So Reno's been a huge deal for me since the very beginning of my breakaway career.
And then to see you, get those 2 under your belt, you battled for the number 1 back number all year long. It was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then to come out on top, obviously we've really started opening the conversation of how important the September leading into October, but August, September are huge months now. Whereas before, they weren't as big as it was always the focus on July, August, June, July, 4th of July, see where everybody's set up, finish in July, huge rodeos, kind of piece through the fall. But now it's like there's not a month
Yeah,
you can't be there. And you capitalized at the end when it dang sure mattered, and you came out with a pretty significant lead coming into the finals. Performing under pressure moments this year, how who has the competitor Taylor Munsell become from 2021 first National Finals Breakaway Roping qualification to 2025?
Oh yeah, I've adapted so well. I feel like the first year I rodeoed, I actually went into the final sitting pretty good, but the rodeos didn't pay as much, and obviously I went to a lot more rodeos, and I was actually chasing it from the outside pretty much all year until Pendleton, and then I think I won second in the round at Pendleton, and that kind of like secured it. And then I ended up doing good, splitting the short round. I went second average, and that moved me way up because that rodeo paid so good, and that moved me way up into the standings. But yeah, it's come a long ways. I will say I've learned how to use average rodeos a lot better to my advantage because I feel like that's where I'm a little stronger at is in the average than the one headers. So I really try to like focus on doing my part at those. And it's come a long ways. I will say that. I know there was a lot of downtimes the first couple of years I rodeoed, but this year was the most steady by far as like having my money put together, my horses put together, my rig put together, and all that. Because the first year I was kind of jumping rigs and rides and everything else, and this year was a lot easier than the first year. I'm so thankful for the first year because I learned so much, and I think it helped me to get to here. But this is a little more fun doing it this way.
And you talked about having everything kind of set in place. Again, I've watched you piece everything together to make it work for Taylor and all the people that are on the way, but then all the wins too, every year and the wins. And this year it was like it all kind of came together. You had everything that you wanted set up. And like you said, your horses were sound. It was a great year. What's in Taylor Munsell's rig? Like if we were going to go in your rig, other than sweet jalapenos, what are we going to find? If anybody wants any, ask Taylor. What are we going to find in Taylor Munsell's rig?
Oh, pretty much my dogs, my two dogs. So be careful when you open the door because they're coming out fast. And then mainly the only other thing that I'm ever like, oh, I need this before I leave is my ropes and my Alani energy drinks. Those are the dogs are the most important, obviously, but
What about ropes, bridles, tack, all those things? What are we going to find there?
oh, ropes, they'll be everywhere, all over the place. I use rattler ropes and I swap around between all the different ones. I think it's good to I kind of do switches, especially as far as practicing to keep myself sharp with my rope and my loop. Bridles, there is an abundant amount of bridles, more than anybody should need for 1 to 2 horses, but I have an obsession. So if you
That's
ever
what
want to try bridle, I probably has it. I probably have
I
it.
probably has it,
Um,
she says.
yeah, probably got it somewhere in my trailer. But yeah, and then my Usher brand saddles and my 5-star saddle pads and boots, all that in multiple different colors and shades and one for every horse.
That's always good. I mean, everybody, Monster really bringing out the color in his eyes. Ray,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
what
yeah.
doesn't go with yellow? So, no, but in all fun, let's expand a little bit about your ropes. Ropes are something that's huge for you. And I know that every time I've been in your trailer, it's a plethora of ropes similar to me. That's why we're friends. So, what kind of ropes are you using? Is it seasonal? I know you're using Rattler, but what layer are you using? Tell us a little bit about why you use which rope and does that change throughout the year?
It does. I was raised on the you should be able to build a handle and rope and catch with anything that you pick up. And I still do believe that. I mean, I don't necessarily go rope the dummy with a brand new rope or a rope I think feels good every time. And I don't necessarily always practice with a rope that feels that way. Given I don't want to practice with a rope that I have to like force to turn over or something so that when I get a brand new one, I'm doing too much with it. But I do use Rattler. My main rope is a Viper. I like to use a 9.5, which I did use a 9.0 for a long time, but that was from my shoulder stuff, and I've gotten up to a 9.5. I don't like any bigger. I just don't like the feel of a bigger rope in my hand. On top of it's just not what works for my shoulder. People always told me when I was in college using the 9.0s, they're like, there's no way you can rope in the wind with that. I'm like, well, I rope in the wind every day, and in Alva, Oklahoma, and it never phases me. I was like, if you think about it, a littler rope should cut through it better than a bigger rope. So that's kind of, I stick with those most of the year. I will say last year after the NFR, I was frustrated and I went to B and I was like, I need an orange rope. And she's like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, take one of every size. And she's like, go figure it out. Like just whatever you need. And I actually ended up winning second in the rope for the crown with a Spitfire after that. And I was like, these feel good again. So I did use the Spitfires for like, I think through Fort Worth. And then I went back to the Vipers all year. And then I'm actually using the Spitfires again. I can't say that there's just like, I'm like, oh, the temperature outside, I'm gonna switch ropes. It's just a feel, in the heat of the summer, I do think the Vipers feel better and more consistent for traveling all over the country. But right now I'm using the Spitfires and I think they feel great. I can't say why I switch back and forth. I just swing them and whatever feels good, that's what I use.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's the biggest thing for me is just learning what everybody's perspective is on it. Some people are like, oh, if it's this weather, I'm using this rope. But I think it is a seasonal thing and it's a change. We see Martha Angeloni too switch, ropes all year
She
long.
uses all three. Yeah, she uses
Yeah,
all
she
three of
uses
them.
every one of the rattlers, the options that they've got. And so it's just it's a roper preference, but I think that that's something to learn from and glean from every roper is if it doesn't feel good, there's nothing wrong with trying something a little bit different.
Yeah, I try not to just get to the point where I'm like, oh, I missed that calf because I used a Spitfire. I should have used a Viper and I would have caught. I try not to ever let myself get in that mindset because anytime that you miss a calf, you probably should have caught him no matter what rope you were using. But I will say that obviously you want to be using the rope that feels the best when you back in the box.
Yeah. I have a really funny video I'll send to you. It's about Kevin Hart and using his rope and it not working for him. So I'll send it to you. If anybody wants to see it, DM me and I'll send it to you as well. It's really good for a laugh. But we have people all year long, and you've said it a million times on 15 Days of Breakaway, all 5 years that you've been on here. The people in your corner are huge. The people that support you, from your sponsors to your family to, everybody in between, they make such a big key difference. What, as you've learned, 5 years from now, what are some of the strategies that you've learned to build those relationships in rodeo to keep it to where you're performing at your best of your abilities and you're at a high level, no matter whether you're at home or on the road?
Oh yeah, I mean your team is so important. I was talking to somebody the other day and she was like, "Man, I didn't even rodeo this year. All I did was circuit rodeo, but I went to all the circuit rodeos." And she's like, "It took so much help." He's like, "I've always amateur rodeoed, but this pro rodeoing was so different." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you have to have a whole team behind you, and I can't like. There's times I have horses in three different places, and not only a whole great team that's at home and willing to come out and help you, but also great friends on the road. Just like you hauling my horse back from Salt Lake for me to Cheyenne when I had to fly back and forth between the two. Like you get stuff so spread out trying to make it work. And it's super important to have people in your corner, whether they're family or friends at home or sponsors or, fellow competitors that are willing to help you. It's a huge, huge part of the game and you cannot make it work without them. I mean, no matter how bad you want to say you're doing it all by yourself, there's no way you are. And I could even begin to list all the people that I owe a thank you to, but I try to make sure that they know how thankful I am for them every chance I get.
Who has been one of the most influential people in your career thus to date?
Oh man, that one's hard. There's so many. I've learned so much from so many of the breakaway ropers because I come in kind of late to it. I gotta say probably Jackie just because she really, really, really took me in like from the get go. When I flew out to the rodeo in California and I had no money or nothing, like she took me in, she gave me a place to stay, give me a ride to the airport, no questions asked, nothing. Like she's like, come stay at the house, come rope sometime, and then they pretty much heard Charlie adopted me there for a while. I'd go live in their apartment in the winter and stay at their house because I didn't have a living quarter trailer, and then there were some rodeos I'd go to, and she'd be like, "Where are you staying tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, I was just gonna sleep in my pickup." And she's like, "No, you're not. You're staying in the bus. Come stay in the bus." And she had done a lot for me, and like I said, no questions asked, nothing, didn't want nothing, and expected nothing in return. And obviously, there's not a lot I can do in return for her, but she was huge, huge into kind of making me feel more comfortable and like I belonged.
who I feel like you've also sewed back into the breakaway roping community. Do you feel like you want to give that back to these younger girls that are coming up and the evolution of breakaway?
Oh yeah. One of the things I love is helping the young girls and anybody, honestly, like in any questions or any issues they have with it and trying to figure it out. Cause it is a lot. The first year I rodeoed, we were all trying to figure it out. So we were all in the same boat. But now there's people like us that kind of know what we're doing or think we know what we're doing. We're still learning. I learn new things every year, but know a little bit. And then now there's these girls that are coming in that know nothing. And I can't imagine how intimidating that is. Uh, so obviously, yeah, you want to help them all, and I want everybody to get the most out of it and at least learn something from it, whether it's, good or bad, take something away from it and kind of feel good about themselves for trying when they go home if they do.
This year, we have had remarkable numbers. Everywhere you go, there's been 100 plus breakaway ropers from 1,000 added to 10,000 added rodeos. What do you think has changed in the breakaway and continues to change that you've seen in your opinion?
Oh, I think just the reality that used to there was just a couple people that could make a living, a couple girls that could make a living with a rope, and they weren't doing it just breakaway, and they had to also be good all girl team ropers. And now it's like showing true and realistic that you can go make a living with a rope. I mean, you can win more at one rodeo than other years you've won all year. I mean, it's crazy to think about. I left Houston winning 72,000, and that's more than what I made the NFR with the first year. So it's, I think, just knowing that there's somewhere to go with it now. There's a reason to work so hard all the way through college and then continue to work hard. Before we were always just kind of working for college rodeo, and then after that, you pretty much just had the amateurs. And I will say I still worked hard when I thought that was the only place I was going, but nothing like I do now.
Yeah. Speaking of women that have worked hard, the Premier Women's Rodeo, we've talked about it all 15 days of breakaway. I believe we can start calling it power now. It's the power segment. PWR, PBR, no big deal. But they've been a huge part of breakaway roping. They've been an advocate for breakaway roping. They have the one and only biggest all women's event in May. Pay over $65,000 in the breakaway just for winning it. I mean, you can win so much money. You've been there. You've nominated. You've always been a part of that. What's your take on the PWR?
Oh yeah, it's super cool. I'm for this name change because I always struggled with the tongue twisting of the WCWR situation with the old one. So I'm all for the name change. But yeah, it's such a cool deal, and I've gotten to go be a part of it a few years. I really like that they've added. It's not just the breakaway. It's the team ropers and the barrel racers, and it kind of brings us all back together a little bit outside of just the WPRA finals. It gives us something else that we're all going to and striving towards together, and it's a super fun thing to be a part of. They have the awesome bag number ceremony and they promote. Not only do they pay us good for winning there, but they promote us so well as women in sport, which is obviously my favorite part about it.
Yeah, 100%. They do promote us and they do help us, but they also have a little bit of a power segment question for every girl on 15 Days of Breakaway. So are you ready, T Munsell, Money Munsell, for the power questions?
Yeah.
I know, but you're getting them anyway. Okay.
You already told me Lindsay wrote them, so I'm
Just
nervous.
forewarning. It's what I've told every one of these ladies. I just apologize. Lindsay Sumter, the head of Power, alongside Sammy Jo Smith, they've wrote these questions. So you know, when you know Lindsay, you know where they're coming from. All right. Question number 1. Every cowgirl's got a fighter in her. If you had a fighter name, what would it be?
Thank gosh you gave me a heads up on this one because I had to think about this the whole time. But I am very confident with saying I'm gonna do let's see, I'm gonna go with Katniss Roper.
Oh,
Gonna combine that with breakaway roper.
Katniss Roper. I like it.
Yep.
So if
Katniss off the Hunger Games.
any breakaway roper girl is having problems and needs a little to channel their inner Katniss, just come find Munsell.
I don't know that I'm as accurate with my rope as she is with her arrows, but I'm hoping to get there someday.
If ESPN called tomorrow and said, we're drafting you into any sport that you want, which one are you going to choose?
I would, by gosh, hope they were adding rodeo onto ESPN, but
That a girl.
Yeah, that was the first thing that crossed my mind. I would love to be a part of that. But outside of that, I'm not saying I should be drafted in this sport, but I would have to say basketball just because that was my second love to rodeo when I was in high school.
Well, you're one of the first and only that have said they wished ESPN would make rodeo a sport, so thank you for doing that. But then also there's growing to be a pretty big basketball team here on 15 Days of Breakaway. So, that's something
Yeah,
I think that we're gonna need to start, at these rodeos, we're gonna need to start divvying up and
we'll
go back.
start a pickup. I'll bring my ankle braces.
Well, bring all your braces. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Go
sounds
need
good.
them. Go need and basketball, but no, it'll be fun. Okay, last and final power question. If your rodeo career was turned into a sports movie, who would play you?
Jennifer Lawrence,
Katniss.
sticking with the Katniss. Yeah,
I mean,
she would probably be a lot more accurate than me.
I would love to see Jennifer Lawrence breakaway rope. That would be amazing.
I feel like she'd be full commitment too.
Oh,
It'd be so
100%.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're calling her out. No big deal. But we appreciate the Premier Women's Rodeo Power. We're very, very excited for this new name change, for the evolution of breakaway roping, the evolution of women in rodeo. May 12th through 15th, 2026 in Fort Worth is going to be the next event for the Premier Women's Rodeo Finals. You and I are both going to be there. And I just invite every other woman that wants to breakaway, barrel race, team rope, goat tie, you name it, they do it. It's all about women.
Yes, and all the different levels they have for us. So
Yeah. There's something for every woman there. So
there
it's pretty
is.
fun. Although you and I will not be cracking out the goat time because they don't make enough braces for us to do that. Yeah.
They get going so fast in a short amount of time. They don't like that.
No, not unless I'm just throwing and staying on my horse. Cool deal. Um, Las Vegas, Nevada. Everybody's talking about it. But as we get there, and before we talk a little bit of strategy, do you play pro fantasy rodeo? I know you have in the past. Have you had any success?
No, I don't. I'm I don't like doing the breakaway because I just don't like get invested in stuff I'm entered in. But I've done the rodeo and I'm just really good. Like I pick such solid people just on not the right nights.
Oh,
Like, there's no bad picks when it's the NFR, but my gosh, it just never goes right for
so
me.
maybe I should find out who you're picking, and then I'll do the opposite, and then I will be a winner.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Great strategy. Well,
Oh,
since you don't
everybody at the NFR is like, please don't pick me now.
yeah, they're like, "Please, please, Taylor, please, Munsell, don't pick
Just
me."
don't play.
If you were gonna give a fan, because I know we have a lot of fans from Pro Rodeo, Pro Fantasy, they're listening to this, what kind of strategy would you go if you were gonna pick a breakaway team? What would be your strategy for the Pro Fantasy breakaway game?
Honestly, it's so hard. There's so many talented girls, but now there's enough of them that's been there before that you can kind of go back and look at statistics. But honestly, I had three great NFRs up until last year, and then I felt so bad for everybody that picked me because I had a terrible NFR. So you really never know how it's going to go. But, you can look, I would say if you're going to just go in and do it blind, I wouldn't. But you can look through the year and also you can be watching leading up into the NFBR because we'll be, at the $1 million breakaway right before that, showing off what we got going. So hopefully it'll go good. And then I won't say that it won't go better for some people there because there are two completely different setups and deals, but I don't know that there's a solid strategy. I know the
Well,
guy that won it one year said he picked me and I was the only person he knew because he met me playing pool in a bar one time. So he picked me and then he won it. So then he just guessed random on all the others.
so everybody should try to follow Taylor, maybe stalk her a little bit, find out what bar she's gonna go to, meet her there,
Yeah.
pick her, wapow, you'll be the Pro Fantasy breakaway winner.
Yeah. Yeah, that worked one time. So
Hey,
one out of four so
whatever
far.
works, we don't want to change that strategy. But Pro Fantasy has always been a huge supporter of Breakaway. We appreciate them. Anytime we start talking Las Vegas, that's the first thing that comes to mind is Pro Fantasy. And like she was saying, Pro Fantasy Rodeo Magazine has all the stats. If you want to go and check out Gail Jones, Casey Jones has done a great job of putting all those stats together on breakaway roping. If Gail doesn't know it, it didn't happen. So you can go check out Pro Fantasy Rodeo and play the breakaway games. It's open right until the final starts, which is going to be tomorrow. So if you're
It's
listening to
fun
this,
and it
go get your
gives you
breakaway.
something to cheer for. It
Exactly.
gives you something to cheer for, which makes it way more exciting.
After I do 15 days breakaway, I go make my team picks. So thank you for the confidence. All right. We're talking about Las Vegas. You've been there 4 times. This is your 5th time. You've had 3 great finals. You've had 1 bad finals. What has worked and what hasn't? And how are you combining all of those 4 strategies into what you're going to do this year?
Like I said, I think last year I got so focused on the going fast part of it. The first year we roped pretty big calves in Vegas, at the New Orleans arena, and I got along good there. But my mindset there was I was riding Colonel. He was green. That was the year Monster was hurt, and I was like, I'm just gonna like score and go knock them all down. And it went well. Like I was the second highest money winner or something. I won a round. I won second average. Like went really well. Well, then the next couple of years we were at the South Point, and I felt like the start was a little easier. You didn't have so much right. They had left there, but the Kevs are a little smaller, and I got a lot better goes. And I think I went into the NFBR last year thinking the same exact setup, but the Kevs were back to being big again, and I was not zoned in for big Kevs. I was trying to go too fast and force things to happen and come together, and I got to like pushing my rope at them and stuff, and it just, especially on big Kevs, that never works. So for sure, going to have a better game plan. I know what the Kevs are going into it this year. I'm going to have Colonel a little more prepared for sure. I mean, myself a lot more prepared, going in there with a lot better mindset of like score, use the KEF you got, and, make the most of what you can out of them. You get 10 rounds. So if you do your job on all of them, you're going to win a lot of money.
A lot of us are going to the Kimes Ranch $1 Million Breakaway. Obviously, you coming in number 1, you automatically get a spot to rope the first 6 rounds at the Kimes Ranch, hopefully advancing on to rope all 10. But potentially, you're going to be roping 10 calves before you step foot at the South Point, Las Vegas, for the 10 NFBR. What's your strategy there? Are you doing different horses? Are you riding the same one? How are you game planning for that?
Yes. So last year I had a strategy, and then I let myself get talked out of it, and then I jumbled everything up, and I got all sorts of out of whack. But I did not, going into it, I was told, like, some girls said the Kevs were strong, which they probably were. They'd had several runs, but they were really, really good in the $1 Million Breakaway, like really, really good. Not necessarily what I was thinking as strong. So I was convinced I was riding Monster there. They said the Kevs were kind of strong. I was like, Colonel feels good. I'm gonna ride Colonel there. And then I got Colonel. I rode him the first day, and it was just, he was too strong for the Kevs, and I got him tight as heck. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna do that no more. I'm gonna get back on Monster. And then I just felt like by riding Colonel there, I got him tight and all, not how I wanted him. He wasn't as good as I wanted him at the NFBR and stuff. So this year I'm definitely sticking with my game plan. Monster and Ray will be at the $1 Million Breakaway. Colonel will be the horse I plan to ride all 10 rounds of the NFBR. Monster and Ray both just really excel and are easy on those short setups, and both so honest that I have no doubt if I ride one or the other on all 10 or both of them, that they're going to be consistent and stay good. And then I'm going to plan to have Colonel ready to go do what I need to do on a lot bigger, wilder Kevs at the NFBR. I'm going to stick to that plan. If you all see me riding Colonel, you just come push me off of it.
The plan is gone.
Yeah. Go push me off. Don't let me run one on you there.
We'll zip tie you. Not let you do it. Yeah. The experience level, the learning, the journey, the ups and downs, all the things. Is it a dream come true to finally know you've got that number 1 riding in the box?
It is, it is. So I've worked so hard for it, and, I've always kind of I've never been one that's like, at the end of the year, I'm like, or at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I'm going to be number 1 by the end of the year. Like, that's never been my goal. My goal is always, I'm going to do my best to make the best runs I can on every KEF I draw, and, do the best thing by my horses and whatnot. Because for me, my horses are a huge part of it, and they mean a lot to me. So I'm never going to be like, oh, I need to ride Colonel here, even though he's sore as all get out. But he's the one I think I should ride here. So I'm just going to give him some mutant riding, like I try to put them definitely first, which is a super big benefit I have, having 3 that are so interchangeable and that I believe I could ride at any rodeo and win on. Now I'm just kind of learning which ones to ride where. But yeah, I'm super thankful for it. I do wish I would have ended the year a little better than I did, but it's was important to me. I think winning Houston almost made me a little grittier throughout the year, because I was like, we're not going to let Houston be the reason you made the NFR. Like, you're going to make the NFR because you had a great year all year.
Yeah. And I think, 191,000 You had an
Yeah.
amazing year. I'm so proud
Yeah.
of you.
Oh, thank
I
you.
know you'll just continue to push yourself and grow and get better and get sharper and continue on. What's the biggest thing you're excited about for Las Vegas this year?
It's the same answer for me every year. I get so excited to get there. So much of my family and my sponsors and people that support me get to come out there, and then they get to actually like be a part of the celebrating. I didn't hardly have anybody with me at Houston or Reno and stuff because those weren't places that are just easy for them to be off work to go. But so many of them get to come out there and celebrate and be a part of like the great year I had and celebrate that with me. And that's honestly my favorite part about it.
Well, I am very proud of you. Congratulations. Thank you for wrapping up our 15 Days of Breakaway 2025. Number one, Taylor Munsell, $191,175. Congratulations. And I am cheering you on for this year's National Finals Breakaway Roping.
Thank you.
You are officially in the loop.